not using PowerPoint presentation today. I was asked to talk, not to read any statement as done by the dignitaries, perhaps at the international conferences like FAO, IFAD, or WFP. I will talk before the audience, keeping in mind the young, inquisitive participants today. I don't want to burden you with a long list of serious issues today while I share my thoughts and ideas at Marymount Talks platform. I will confine myself to a few important global issues which affect us in so many ways and will continue to shape the course of developments in the coming days. Now the question is, what a diplomat, what does a diplomat do? Any case? Let me share with you one picture and let us try to understand how it looks. I think you can see it.
Yes.
Okay. So you see what my friends think I do. Perhaps people think that diplomats keep moving from one country to another. So they do tourism when they are on job, right? What my mom thinks I do, mom thinks that I am always busy with multilateral meetings, interacting with delegates coming from different countries, as you see at FAO headquarters in Rome. One example. What society thinks I do, some people may think that we diplomats go for partying, they, they, they share their ideas, they join parties, cocktails or receptions, and their social life looks like this. And what my boss thinks I do, I keep sleeping and I virtually I don't do anything. And what I think I do, you can see an actor in an action movie. So you gaze and presume what I could be thinking about myself, like many diplomats. But what I actually do is not a serious projection of the activities or presumed business, but you see, it's a totally confused, it's a whole mess. Lots of things are happening, and the diplomat seems a bit confused and in a mess. So this is not a very, I can say, very serious way to explaining what a diplomats do, but I was trying to explain what it may look like. So let me go back. Okay. So I think I'm not boring you with something. I hope you could receive the message of the pictures. I hope you are with me, right? Thank you.
Yes.
So before I go into the topic, internationalism, which is very pertinent today, I think as Ambassador of Bangladesh, it's very relevant to speak about the bilateral aspect between Bangladesh and Italy, because I represent Bangladesh in this beautiful country, Italy. Bangladesh and Italy enjoy very cordial bilateral relations, and it has grown in a strength and in dimension over years. And I am happy to share with you that Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, visited Italy in February 2020. And following her visit, our bilateral relations reached to a new height. And I'm also delighted to share with you that next year, 2022, we'll be celebrating the 50 years of establishment of bilateral relations, or establishment of diplomatic relations. And I'm also happy to share with you that there are similarities between the two countries in many respects, despite the fact we are located in different continents. We both the people of the both friendly countries love to eat food. We love to play football, and also we love to have siesta or nap, you can say. One of the strongest connections between Bangladesh and Italy is our deep respect for democracy, education, and passion for learning, which are so much inherent within us. Italy and Bangladesh feel closer also by the fact that they are bound by shared vision for prosperity and commonality of democratic values and similar values on international issues. So, coming about today's talk, as I did mention that I would be focusing on few limited issues, and I don't mean to burden you with so many uh, topics when you are about to uh, go home. I think you have been most of the students must be tired after attending classes for hours today. Are you sleeping? Certainly not. So first, we may think about what is internationalism and why it is important. Internationalism, in theory, is a political principle that advocates greater political or economic cooperation, common good among states and nations. Mr. Matthew has correctly pointed out that internationalism is a topic that the school would very much like to keep present in the minds of our community, of your community. He also mentioned about behaving with quote unquote international mindedness unquote, and I echo your sentiment. I concur your sentiment. We live in a globalized world which is growingly becoming interconnected and interdependent. Bipolar world, as you are very aware, there was a time we would call Cold War. The world was apparently ideologically divided between two worlds, one world led by uh, identified as capitalist world, another world socialist bloc. So I'm pretty sure you're about bipolar world. So bipolar world has been replaced by a multipolar world where multiple actors have come into play, uh, leading to multi-partnership. From bilateralism to multilateralism to multi-partnership, meaning we are now interacting with multiple actors, state and non-state actors. So you see the emergence of new entities, non-state actors, which were not prominent or not visible in that way before the end of the Cold War. So this is a very interesting development. In today's world, we celebrate diversity as differences or diversity can no more be seen as a divisive factor or force. Technological advancement has brought revolutionary changes, not only in your daily lives, but also in your thinking, not to mention in our lifestyles. This is felt everywhere, every corner of the world. Internationalism promotes peace and security, self-determination, economic stability, and humanitarianism. For example, in a world international sporting event, say one country is hosting Olympics with the participation of large number of countries, what happens? The host country will have the economic benefits because it is attracting foreign investments. So it is one sample to get a sense how internationalism or participation of multiple countries, multiple communities, multiple nationalities uh, uh, work in a situation like this. And I want to add that bilateralism might be backed by internationalism in diplomatic drive or effort or whatever it is in many ways. And one question may arise, is nationalism and internationalism are something which are contradictory? I don't say it. Nationalism is fine so long it is not harmful to other countries. I would rather say, I'll put it in this way, nationalism supplements internationalism. So it is those two concepts are not contradictory. At the end of the day, they can supplement each other. A good nationalist, as a good patriot, obviously will be a strong supporter and believer of international peace and security. So they cannot contradict. I would like to share that, and I would like to share with you that behind the face of apparent image of or facade of internationalism of the international community, there are some situations or some, how should I say that, some trends, propensities, which I will identify as chauvinism or extreme nationalism, petty parochial national interests, naked competition for imperial and new colonial hegemony and authoritarian supremacy, and perhaps something like influenced by some powers. So that may have some negative impacts in international peace and security. We have learned from the rise of COVID-19 how dependent we are on each other. Money is not the only solution. International cooperation matters for all developing and developed countries. We talk about, you will hear very often, we are talking about a world which is an inclusive world where everyone's role is taken into consideration because everyone's role matters. And we should keep in mind that problems have no boundaries. When you talk about prosperity, now we talk about shared prosperity. This is very important if you note what I'm saying, because let it put it like this, not at state or international level. Take it as a society, in a society, what happens? Say uh, I can, I have sufficient income to meet my needs, including food, right? And someone is hungry in my neighborhood. He's knocking at my door. Can I live in peace? Can I live in with peace of mind? No. So it's not, it's also equally applicable at the international level. Because if any country is underdeveloped or if they have needs, material or whatever it is, the rest of the world should help all the countries prosper and share the prosperity. Meaning, when you talk about development, the benefits should be shared, and every country should have access to develop. It can be explained in many ways. Say, if I put one example, that there was a time when many countries, developing countries, would largely depend on foreign aid. But countries like Bangladesh, there was a time, decades before, Bangladesh was aid dependent. But now we are trade dependent. We want to thrive, we want to prosper, trading, making trading relations with other countries. So now we don't say, give us aid, foreign aid. Our economy has has prospered to that extent. Our dependence on foreign aid is, I understand, is only 1.3%. What do we want other countries to do? We expect them to remove the trade barriers, that is tariff, non-tariff, but there are many barriers, when you study international trading relations, then you will get to know. So this is an age when we are not like Bangladesh. I'm sure many countries will not ask for aid. They'll ask for something else. What? They will ask for removing trade barriers so that we can do trading and we can prosper. And this is very important when you talk about sharing prosperity or opening economy. So when we talk about internationalism, we mean our mentality has to be international. We'll act locally, but we'll think globally because we should think ourselves that we will be growing as a global citizen. If you note what I am saying, we we have distinct national identity as a citizen of my country. That is there, it's not contradicting, but at the same time it is very important is that in today's world that we grow up as a global citizen with a global overview, and that is very important for a peaceful world, inclusive world. The world is facing hardest challenges such as climate change, poverty, war, intolerance, extremism, terrorism, violence, insurgency, inequality, disparity, corruption, etc. Of course, definitely many good things are happening. That is there, I don't deny. But when we talk about these negatives, as I did mention, I have just mentioned, we must defeat all evils diligently and unitedly and with a renewed vigor. And what unites us, this is very important, please note, what unites us is differ, because I'm talking about a globalized world. So we may have differences of view or differences in many respects. The point I'm trying to make, what unites us is deeper than what divides. I have absolutely no doubt that Marymount School is preparing you to meet the existing and emerging challenges, both intellectually and morally. I'm confident that about your ability to bring changes. I always hope for the best, and as hope is what sustains us in adversity, it stimulates our belief in life, helps us endure calamities, and inspire us to move ahead. Addressing the rise of all forms of extremism. It may come, it may emerge in many forms. Hate crime, be it anti-Asian, anti-Muslim, anti-Black, or anti-Semitism, whatsoever, this needs to be addressed. And this for an inclusive, peaceful world. So we should keep in mind that these are the issues we should draw our attention because you're the future leaders. As we know that without peace and stability, no country or region can prosper. This is very important, as I perhaps indicated from an economic context, that sealing border does not guarantee safety. In order to have a sustainable world of peace and stability, it is important that we all help creating an environment of mutual respect and tolerance, irrespective of ethnicity, color, race, or religion. As the original proponent of the culture of peace, quote unquote, culture of peace resolution, as the original proponent of this resolution at the United Nations, Bangladesh takes pride in presenting this resolution at the General Assembly in 1997, which was adopted in 1999 when current Prime Minister Honorable Sheikh Hasina was also in office. On 13 September 1999, UN General Assembly proclaimed the year 2000 as the International Year of the Culture of Peace, and the decade 2001 to 2010 as the International Decade for a Culture of Peace and Nonviolence. This is very relevant here. Now let me share with you, of course, you have heard many times, globalization. What globalization, what does it mean? I'm sure you're very much aware of it, but let me share my perspective. As we generally understand, globalization is the word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations, brought about primarily by cross-border trade in goods and services, technology and flows of investment, people, and information. Let me put it in a different way. Maybe my definition was a bit sort of serious type of way of defining it. Let me put it on a lighter way, right? I hope all of you can hear me, right? All of you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Uh, an example of how globalization affects individuals is, for instance, the tragic death of Princess Diana in August 1997. See how it happens, how it connects so many countries and nationalities. I got it somewhere and I'm sharing with you. I found it quite pertinent. It's not my formulation. An English princess with a Welsh title, that is Princess of Wales, leaves a French hotel with her Egyptian companion on a German Mercedes car with a Dutch engine, driven by a Belgian chauffeur, drunk with Scottish whiskey, chased by Italian paparazzi on Japanese motorcycles into a Swiss-built tunnel and crashed. A rescue is attempted by an American doctor using Brazilian medicine, and the story is told by a Bangladeshi. This is globalization. You see, we are all involved. So we cannot isolate each other. At the end of the day, we're the mankind. So we are together. Why we forget? So we should not think anything in isolation with or in total exclusion of the welfare of the others. We live in a totally globalized world. That's the beauty of today's world, and also it entails some challenges that we have to face in the coming days. Now, when we so when we talk about a globalized world, we have to be international in approach, and there is United Nations, the last hope of the mankind. United Nations is the last hope of the mankind, and of course there is European Union. And as ambassador to Italy, I'm proud to know that Italy is one of the founding members of European Union and NATO. So Italy is a very important country when you talk about European Union and World Bank. So there are international entities and institutes which help shape uh, the emerging, the structure of the society, economy, and of course our mentality and consequent behavior. So by the way, I think our young learners are very much aware how many members, currently how many members at the United Nations?
I used to do it 2 years back.
Okay, I think the the total number is 193. So this is the forum of the all countries of the world. So now I would like to touch on young leadership. I think the bigger percentage of today's audience are students. So you are very special to me today. There is one, uh, how should I say, there is one say or proverb that you are the future. When you talk about students, the younger section of the society or country, many would say, you are the future. But I buy this argument. I second this argument. But at the same time, I want to humbly differ, or you can say I want to add a little more. You are not only the future, you also the present. You can contribute. Don't belittle yourself about your potentials. You are the future, no doubt about it, but you are also the present. You can play, you can contribute. Let me tell you and share with you. I think you being the very conscious and being Marymount student, you must have heard about two young persons or students, how they have influenced and receive attention. Young Greta Thunberg, you heard her name, has attracted international attention globally for her strong voice on climate change issues. I'm sure all of you have heard her name, right? And a very young voice on climate change issues. And she rose to prominence because of her voice. And she's very young. She's young like you. So don't feel that being young, you cannot contribute. You are well placed to contribute. Another young person, Malala Yousafzai, has been an education advocate and has been known globally, the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize after surviving an assassination attempt. So these two young persons have that their actions and activities have been inspiring. So young leadership and your role matters. That point I'm trying to make it. And students can make changes, bring changes. In 1952, our young students at the University of Dhaka, Bangladesh, the capital, from where I did my master's, and capital of Bangladesh, the then East Pakistan, made supreme sacrifices for the protection of their right to mother language, Bangla. This language movement was led by young students in Bangladesh. I'm just supplementing what young or the students can uh, contribute. At the global level, this day represents the right of all people to their mother languages so that linguistic diversity could build a peaceful and inclusive world. So Bangladesh has, uh, so I'm not talking to another global issue, that is migration. I touched on climate change, migration, uh, because of growing inequality and poverty. We witness forced migration and illegal migration. We are very much against any kind of illegal migration, as every country is. And the tragic death of migrants by boats, I'm telling, because we are in Italy, we see it quite often. Tragic death of migrants by boats, boats sinking while crossing the Mediterranean. Italy had been very quite open, and we're very appreciative of the generosity of Italy in this regard. So these are challenges. Climate change, mostly it is happening human-induced activities apart from some natural factors on which we have little control. But we should be, um, before it is late, we have a big responsibility to protect our environment, to protect the planet. And same with migration, we should ensure equality, we should address poverty so that this is addressed. I think this will have a positive impact when the poverty, inequality, these issues are addressed. And when you talk about migration, I have one interesting thing to share with you. There is a there is one way of defining it, looking at it. There are some who would say, when you talk about brain drain, not exactly migration, of course, it's a part of that perhaps. You know what is brain drain? When talented people move to other countries for better, salaries or better packages. But there is another way of looking at it. That is, they call it global movements of talents. So you cannot keep the talented people to a particular place. They will keep moving. And that is something you can perhaps take it in a positive manner, but depends on the situation, local situation. So the rise of COVID-19 virus has left a very big lesson to all of us, and but it has not. One thing is that it has proved that we are dependent to each other. Another thing is that it has not affected in a same manner. It has affected disproportionately. So this is a new realization. And another lesson we have learned is that we money or the affluence is not enough when you talk about challenges like this. So that should also remind us about the need of increased collaboration at the international level. Ethics and morality, unfortunately, ethics and morality, fair play and justice have become secondary in many cases. And it came in the media. I was reading somewhere, United Nations Secretary General and Mr. Antonio Guterres, his warning and concerns about endangered world peace, democracy, human rights, economic equality, the rule of law, climate change, threatening environmental disasters. So we see continuing wars in Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Palestine, and in other places, causing havoc and destruction of homes and lives, and rendering millions of people displaced and dispossessed. And as you are perhaps aware that, just to share with you one latest statistics, Bangladesh is currently hosting 1.1 million Rohingya refugees, forcefully displaced Myanmar nationals. They have fled from Myanmar due to ongoing genocidal acts being perpetrated by them. And for the extra generosity of the Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh, she um, has been termed as "quote unquote" mother of humanity for sheltering 1.1 million Rohingyas. So the humanism and humanitarian approach is very important when you talk about a globalized world or uh, or an inclusive world. So what is badly needed is that raising our active and concerned voices against all injustice, chaos, and disorder uh, in the world. And dear young learners, uh, education has the power to inject the ethos and core values of a nation through the reinforcement of the national goals and aspirations. It is proper education which can uplift the morale of the students and turn them into not only successful in career, but also good human beings.